Hey, beautiful people. Welcome back to another episode of Sweet Millionaire Formula, the podcast where we mix Hollywood drama with financial goals and drop gems like it's hot. I'm your host, Money Mona. And today we're going to be talking about 3 segments: Spill the Wealth, Stack Your Paper, and Millionaire Moves. So grab that drink, sis, or your pen, because we're about to get into it. Excuse me if I'm salivating over these chips. I don't know if that's a word, but I made it up. But it may be salivating. You know how like your mouth gets super watery from like something that you enjoy? But I'm on this diet, y'all. I have currently lost about 30 pounds. So kudos to me. Like, a lot of people be like, oh, I'm doing this 6 months or 6 months. That was me at the beginning of the year. And then I got to like 189, 199, got back down to like 187. I was like, okay, I'm going to take this serious. And then I'm just like, how do I take this serious if I'm going to the gym 4 times a week? Why is it not translating in my body? Then I'm like, okay, I have to change the way I eat. So over and all that to be said, I lost my 27 pounds. So I'm eating my boom chicka pop popcorn, and it's hitting right now while I decide how I'm going to move after this podcast. With eating healthy, it's a decision by decision discipline. Like, you can go... if I decide to have 3 or 4 meals out this week and I don't stay at home and cook these baked shrimp with that spinach wrap, okay, on a tortilla with a blueberry, I'm going to go all in and go to Chili's and spend $60. So it's just about eating and losing weight, and the reflection that I have in my body is not just about necessarily going to the gym, which I thought that was the whole purpose of. I didn't think that, but in my mind, I'm like, if I go to the gym 5 times a week, then I'm definitely going to lose this weight. But in actuality, it's the other way around. I stopped eating all crazy, and then I focused and zoned in on my decision making as far as how many times a week I go to the gym. I've been able to maintain the weight because I haven't picked back up my old eating habits. So super excited about that. But let's get into today's topic. Big one, stack your paper. Okay. One of the things that I wanted to talk about today, how can I describe? Well, I'm going to just say what I've noticed and what I've collected over the years. It's hard to say, it's hard for the Black generation to move forward in the next level is because we're not taught the benefits of a nonprofit. We don't necessarily connect our vision and creativity to a mission-driven opportunity to create a nonprofit. So it's like, if you don't spend the time connecting and building your own creativity into a vision or a program or a mission statement or a nonprofit, then you're basically on the same level as a refugee in America. And the reality of it is that white America wants to keep Black Americans at the bottom of the totem pole. And the way that they do that is by incentivizing immigrants and neutralizing other races, such as the Arabs, such as the Chinese, such as the Italian, the Jewish, the Hispanic. And if you look at the way that America is, if you're deemed white in America, by your immigration and the laws that are established to give these races, Russians, Little Italy. So you'll wonder why you go to different cities, or you'll be in a city and they have a whole town dedicated to just Little Italy, or they'll have a whole town dedicated to Chinatown, and you go into these neighborhoods and these people have businesses that reflect their neighborhoods. They don't just have Chinese people that come and shop, but they have Chinese people that own the laundromat, they own the beauty supply store, they own the nail salon, they own the restaurant, they own the Soul Creole food. So that's 5 or 6 businesses within Chinatown that are generating money back into the Chinese generational wealth. And I believe that we don't have an ecosystem of wealth in the Black generation because we're not taught how to build wealth. But secondly, we only are our hands, dollars, mouths, eyes, and dedication seems like it's being pledged to every other race's enhancement. And I feel like once you start to focus on your creativity and turn that creativity into a mission, then you create community, because now I need you and your resources, and you need my and my resources, and we can build communities, because we can fund our own tech programs. We can fund our own hockey programs and things like that. And we can fund our own. But if there's no mission or there's no central ecosystem around creating generational wealth for our Black communities and building actual Black communities, instead of it just being, oh, they live in that part of town, or oh, Black people live in this part of town, or we should live in parts of town, or if we can't do it, which we can, but we need to be creating communities, not just parts of town. And I feel like for this episode, I wanted to just state the fact that not only is there white people, Hispanics, Arabs, Russians, Scottish, Jewish, which is six different types of immigrants that have come to America and made themselves millionaires and rich in our own communities at our own cost. They have come into our communities. They have infiltrated the laws. They've been able to get onto boards. That's why you look at it and you'll see 3 of the candidates are of Russian, Arab, and white descent, technically still white in America. And you'll see maybe 1 Black person, or you may not see any Black people at all. And so you're wondering, how do you get to those points in the community? Is because you use your community, your money, your things that you're pouring your business into, and we're able to fund these people and get these people onto TV and get these people elected. But if we're not having those community programs, if we're not having those community organizations and nonprofits that generate money back into our own best interests, then we're not going to be able to have the money to fund a councilman, a governor, and what may have you. And so you see a reflection of that generational wealth in cities like Baltimore, where they have a governor, Westmore, they have a Black mayor, and you see the turnaround that the city is having. If they're able to keep that for the next 10, 15, 20 years, and they're able to repeat that, then you'll see a birth of a primarily Black city start to thrive. The housing value goes up, the teaching goes up, the overall value of our presence and value for each other goes up. And I think that that's what's majorly missing. And I feel like once we decide that, like, I personally decide, even with this discipline of not eating out and I have so much more like discernment or the power with my decision and where I'm going to eat at, because there's a place. Now it depends on what part of town you're in, but there's a place called like America's Best Wings, and it's Arab, primarily Asian. Arab owned, and they're in about 3 different states, and I guess they got a good thing going for themselves, whatever the case. But how are they able to build such a chain of selling chicken and fries back to Black people? How are they able to come into our communities and sell to us what we've been known? Because they have the business, they have the LLC, they have the upper hand as far as creating a collective conglomerate. I don't know how to say the word, but either way, they have a collective interest to put their money together and start 1 and build 2 and build 3 and build 4 and build 5. But I feel like I don't know why, but when Black people shop with other races, it's easy for them to figure out how they're going to pay. They figure it out and scramble. But when it's time to come together collectively and figure out how we're going to start and change and have a common mission, it's always like, that's doing too much. I don't personally feel that way. That's why I'm dedicated to, finishing my degree in performing arts and literacy, because I feel like performing arts centers are Black people's Chinese nail salons. Performing arts centers and studios and camera and media rooms and meeting rooms and workplaces, those are our new ways to capitalize in America on business, entertainment, and producing content that we own, is by getting into the next generation of entrepreneurship. And I feel like a lot of businesses in Atlanta have capitalized on this. And so therefore you go to Atlanta, you're going to have a Black experience where you're going into a laboratory and creating drinks, and you're creating, masterpieces, and not just a bar. And so I like that we can see a reflection in a city like Atlanta of our Blackness and our creativity and us being able to thrive in that, because you believe that, this is going to be to this or to that for other people. And it's like, you don't have to appease other people when your creativity should be the reason why you're thriving in your business and why your business model works. It doesn't have to be cookie cutter, but it can have soul and personality and still thrive and build an economic ecosystem within your community. No matter, yes, it matters what you do, but I feel like it matters even more that you're doing it and having the confidence and the knowledge and intelligence to understand that not only are you creating jobs, but you're representing for your people when you're using your own creativity to create a plan and a sense of currency and generational wealth, not because you are being cookie cutter and trying to stuff yourself into a box, but because you're allowing your vision to be a mission that generates you income and wealth. And two, spill the wealth. Okay, I want to have like a little teacup. So I can like, does that make the sound? Do y'all sound? Okay, all right. I tried to do the sound, but it's okay. We're going to move this episode right along. So in Spill the Wealth today, one of the major things that I wanted to talk about was a nonprofit feeding families, a nonprofit that teaches a tutoring program, a nonprofit that hosts arts collectives, but we using our creative links to multiply our impact. So there's 3 different truths to using a nonprofit to multiply your community impact. And so when you're alone and you're isolated, you do things that don't have a collective interest. But when you're connected, you're able to link and thrive. And connection is the key to thriving in your nonprofit. And that's the point, because you're keeping, it doesn't have to just be Black anything, but it's for specifically saying that we can use nonprofits as a source of economic empowerment, education, and intelligence, being able to fund our own ventures using our creative methods. 2 is the ecosystem thinking. So imagine if every local nonprofit shared one resource: grant writing, marketing, camera crew, or space. You have an ecosystem of resources that allow your nonprofit to have sturdy legs to stand on, because sometimes as a business owner you wear a lot of hats because you don't have community. I found myself moving to a new city and I was like, oh, I want to do this, and this. And I got submerged underwater trying to do everything. But when I focused in on my podcast and I started to realize the impact that this will have on its own, and really just dedicated myself to one thing, then it allowed me to have the focus so that when I'm ready to expand, I would have interviewed this person, that person, interviewed all these different people in my backyard. And then that builds that network of communication and contacts I have to go to the next level and to do those interviews again, or for them to send me more people. You have to look at the overall picture of a nonprofit, not just the surface stuff. Yes, you can get money and grants and all this other stuff, but you can really create a cultural impact. One of the businesses that really stood out to me was Black Girls Vote. I would love for y'all to go look at the representation and the founder, Nike Robinson. I believe her name is Nikea Robinson. But she's the founder and CEO of the Black Girls Vote nonprofit. And I see her she's a trailblazer in Baltimore and Maryland as a nonprofit owner. And she has done things that I have witnessed that have totally shattered my expectation as to what the power of a nonprofit can be, and how you can have a mission-driven nonprofit that expands and generates funds and impacts local colleges and neighborhoods and communities. And it basically overall it raises the next level of the generation, because you're feeding the generation that's coming up under you, because you have a mission that is dedicated to those who volunteer to be a part of this overall vision. They're going out into the world and carrying that with them because they see that this is a mission that I can support and stand behind. So you don't want to create a baseless mission. You want to have a vision and mission that people can stand behind. And I think Nikedra, she had a mission, Black Girls Vote, to get the Black vote mobilized. And I feel like this organization, working with her organization with the Boys and Girls Club when I was a director, it really changed the impact of my in my teen center. And I'm just super excited to have that experience and exposure to see from the top to the bottom what it is that nonprofits have the impact to do. And so I highly encourage all of us to invest into a nonprofit, because you will look up and you will be successful, thriving, creating a network, and having a mission, all from the power of a nonprofit. And I think people overlook that because we haven't been taught to even as an option. But I feel like this is our duty to our communities, and this is our networking opportunity. And if you go and start to dig through some of these businesses and connections in Atlanta, and just peel back the layers, you'll see that behind some of the biggest wealth builders in these companies and buildings and locations are people who started nonprofits. So don't shy away from or don't overlook the power of a nonprofit, but I feel like you should gaze into the nonprofit and basically open up your mindset. Too many times it's like this narrow track, one track mind. I only can do OnlyFans, I only can be on TikTok, or I only can be. You want to set yourself up for generational wealth. You have to put your paws down into the earth and do things that really matter. What you bind on earth, you bind in heaven. What you loose on earth, you loose in heaven. So your purpose is attached to your nonprofit. And if you can have a vision and a mission for your nonprofit, then that will expand your network, your community impact, and your influence and opportunities that you create for the next generation. Segment 3, millionaire moves. Now, I don't know if anybody has heard, but I am on the road to becoming a millionaire. I just want to put that on record. I will be your next millionaire podcast network, Sweet Millionaire Formula. You know why I say that? It's because when I created the vision, I said that I wanted to help mobilize 100,000 women to be able to generate income on their own, a passive income ratio, whether it be through monetizing their nonprofit, creating them a website, or creating them a brand or a product. I want to be able to help 100,000 women secure financial freedom and opportunity for themselves. Secure financial freedom for yourself and being able to take your finances from one place to another is like basically it's a dream. And I feel like the opportunity for you to, as a woman, gain your independence, and it's opportunity for you to change your life. Having access to millions of dollars, on top of having access to business capital and having the intelligence to be able to fluently run your own business, is what every black woman needs, personally. And as a black woman myself, taking my credit score from, I was at a 530 credit score and took myself into a 700 credit score and landed my first $20,000 with Navy Federal. That was the moment where I knew that what I was doing on this podcast was necessary, because it's no way that 4 or 5 years ago I was working at Wendy's. I had no idea that this type of opportunity was going to be afforded. And then I spent the next 3 years reading books, researching, watching other people keep talking about this financial wealth, this business credit. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm curious. I have a business. I have a desire inside of me, but I haven't had the freedom to express this desire because I don't even know how I'm going to get to the desire. I just got to hustle and do things hard and work long years. No, you have to be financially literate. You have to be able to put your money into a Fidelity account and build stocks and savings from your 401k. You have to be able to turn your podcast or your thoughts into a podcast. You have to be able to turn your thoughts into a book. You have to be able to put yourself on a pedestal and foundation that you give yourself. But if you're not doing that, then you're disabling yourself. But if you do that, then you set yourself apart from the crowd. And you're essentially creating generational wealth by putting your mission, vision, and purpose into a nonprofit, and that nonprofit building you networking connections, or you can start a business. But the thing about it is that we want to make sure is that we make a millionaire moves and that we're not just considered like next to a refugee. I already educated us that we have 6 different races ahead of us building wealth in this country above our heads, that the government has allowed and written into law for these immigrants to thrive in such a way. So I feel like because there's no law written in such a way for us to thrive, that we have to do it automatically. And so that's the difference between building generational wealth or just waiting idly by for your wealth to build. If you're not serving, building a community and pouring back into your community and networking with the next, then it's going to be hard for you to build your generational wealth and create a mission and a lifetime opportunity that helps the next generation. I'm all about impacting the next generation. I'm all about building wealth. And that's why I spill all the tea and all the moves here on Sweet Millionaire Formula. So we talked about a lot today. Until we meet, listen to this episode again, take your notes, and again, use ChatGPT as your guide if you need to have a framework, because we are in an age where you can create a website at the snap of your fingers. If you're about it, you can get it done. Until next time, peace, stack it, save it. See y'all soon.